Breaking news, immediate release of the FISA memo. Here it is. Congress goes to release the memo. Jim Jordan, who has seen the memo, says the coup plans by the Democrats are spelled out very clearly in there. Lawmakers who have seen this memo are calling for its immediate release, while the phrases explosive, shocking, troubling, and alarming have all been used by the politicians who have already seen this. They want it to be released to the public so that the public has full knowledge of what the Democrats were planning to do, a coup against the new president. Breaking news. Here it is. Congress memo release. They're going to prison. Hashtag release a memo has the rallying cry for conservative Republicans and those on the right for the FBI FISA Russia memo. We've been shouting it from the rooftops publicly, lobbying Intelligence Chairman Devin Nunes for the release of the memo for the last few days, and it seems we're finally being heard. Many members of Congress themselves taking to social media themselves to lobby for the public release of the memo. Men like Representative Dave Joyce of the 14th District of Ohio, who tweeted, quote, "Great news. Our efforts to release the memo have been effective, and the HPSIC plans to begin the process to release the FBI FISA Russia memo. This takes up to 19 plus congressional workdays, but Americans deserve to know the truth." That's what he tweeted today, January 20th. Zero Hedge reported, "All hell's breaking loose in Washington, D.C., and rightfully so, after a 4-page memo detailing extensive FISA court abuse was made available to the entire House of Representatives Thursday. It demonstrates that the government views our Fourth Amendment as simply words on paper, and the contents of the memo are so explosive it could and most definitely should lead to the removal of senior officials in the FBI and the Department of Justice and the end of Robert Mueller's special counsel investigation." Representative Matt Gaetz of Florida, Republican from Florida, on FISA memo says, "I think this will not just end with firings. I believe that there will be people who will go to jail." As a result of this revelation, many House Republicans approached Speaker Paul Ryan about incorporating a vote to make public this explosive new FISA abuse memo as part of government shutdown negotiations. The 4-page document circulating to the full House details the egregious abuses of surveillance by the FBI, the DOJ, and the Obama administration against the Trump campaign during and after the 2016 U.S. presidential election. Lee Zeldman tweets, "Just read the classified document, re-FISA abuse. I'm calling for its immediate public release with relevant sourced material. The public must have access ASAP. Releasing this classified info does not compromise good sources and methods. It reveals the Fed's reliance on bad sources and methods." He goes on tweeting, "The classified report compiled by House Intelligence is deeply troubling and raises serious questions about the upper echelons of the Obama DOJ and Comey FBI as it relates to the so-called collusion investigation. While the report is classified as top secret, I believe the Select Committee should, pursuant to the House rules, vote to make the report publicly available as soon as possible. It's a matter of national significance, and the American people deserve the truth." The revelations contained within the Republican majority-authored report is astounding, to say the least. Representative Matt Gaetz described it as jaw-dropping and demands full transparency, while the top-ranking Democrat on the House Intel Committee, Adam Schiff, Democrat from California, keeps attempting to dismiss the memo as little more than profoundly misleading talking points drafted by Republican staffers. Schiff calls it, quote, "rife with factual inaccuracies," and referencing highly classified materials that most Republican Intelligence Committee members were forced to acknowledge they had never read. This is meant only to give Republican House members a distorted view of the FBI. This may help carry White House water, but it is a deep disservice to our law enforcement professionals, he claims. Now, this is what Bloomberg reports. Gates said the effort was led by Freedom Caucus Chairman Mark Meadows of North Carolina and caucus co-founder Jim Jordan of Ohio. Jordan confirmed that some conservatives had highlighted in continuing resolutions talks that it was extremely important that the memo go public. He said it was not something they were required of the Republican leadership to return for votes. Quote, but it was something we definitely talked about that needs to happen, end quote, Jordan added. And Meadows earlier referred to subplots of promises the Freedom Caucus was able to extract from the leadership before he agreed to support the continuing resolution. Mr. Meadows and Mr. Jordan and many conservatives want to include in this negotiation a requirement that the House make public intelligence documents that highlight the unfair treatment of the president by the FBI and the Justice Department, Gates said. Gates went on to say that he could not describe the contents of the entire memo put together by the House Intelligence Committee, quote, because to do so would reveal classified information in the absence of a vote to do so. And this, he went on to say, just 218 votes and the American people can read this intelligence information that goes to the fundamentals of our democracy, end quote. He says, part of me wishes that I did not read it because I don't want to believe that those kinds of things could be happening in this country that I call home and love so much, end quote. Other Republican congressmen have weighed in with their opinions as well, expressing their disgusted, most notably Representative Steve King, Republican from Iowa, stating, I have read the memo. The sickening reality has set in. I no longer hold out hope there is an innocent explanation for the information the public has seen. I have long said it was worse than Watergate. It was never Trump and always Hillary. Hashtag release the memo. Donald Trump Jr. tweets, hey Adam Schiff, you were very vocal after and almost certainly leaked info during my private testimony. All of a sudden, you're rather quiet about this memo. I thought you were all about transparency. Hashtag full of Schiff. Hashtag release the memo. Mark Meadows tweets, I viewed the classified report from House Intel relating to the FBI, FISA abuses. The infamous Russian dossier, so-called Russian collusion, what I saw was absolutely shocking. This report needs to be released now. Americans deserve the truth. Let's hear.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As many of you know, we have had a Russian narrative that has been going on because of an infamous dossier. And while there's been much reported on it, I can tell you that the Intel Committee has been, and while there's been much reported on it, I can tell you that the Intel Committee has been fast at work, and Chairman Nunes has been doing outstanding work to get to the truth for the American people. Today, I had the opportunity to go into a confidential setting to make sure that what we can do is understand better what actually took place. And I'm here to tell all of America tonight that I am shocked to read exactly what has taken place. I would think that it would never happen in a country that loves freedom and democracy like this country. It is time that we become
okay, something seems to be happening wrong with it.
Transparent in all of this, and I am calling on our leadership to make this available so that all Americans can judge for themselves. And I yield back.
Go to jail. I was very persuaded by the evidence, and it also became clear to me why Chuck Grassley and Lindsey Graham felt it so important to refer this matter for criminal prosecution. You don't get to try to undermine our country, undermine our elections, and then simply get fired. So I think there will be criminal implications here, and we have to underscore the point that you and Jim Jordan just made. Every single Democrat on the Intelligence Committee voted against even allowing other members of Congress to see this information. So you know they're going to fight against release to the American people. What are the Democrats so afraid of? Why don't they want the American people to know the truth about what was going on with the government, how that impacted the president, his transition, his campaign, and it just seems interesting to me that Democrats don't want us to know what the entire basis was in the first place for the Mueller probe. They want to drag this out through the midterm elections to try to embarrass this president and distract this Congress from the critical work we've got to do to save this great country. Let's release the documents.
Any details, do you conclude that Mueller, the whole issue of Trump-Russia collusion never should have come up? Does Mueller need to disband?
Absolutely. This was a lie built on corruption, built on a sham. The entire investigation is a fiction. It's a fallacy. And when the American people see how this began, when the American people see how different people interacted with one another, how organizations were infected and infiltrated and subjected to tremendous bias of individuals, and how that really played out, I think that every American will understand how absolutely ludicrous it is that we continue to allow the Mueller probe to go forward. It needs to end because the entire basis is a lie.
I know from my sources, Sarah, that they're saying this should result in the immediate firing of Lisa Page, of Peter Strzok, of Bruce Orr, also Andrew McCabe. I have some questions. Where does Rod Rosenstein stick in this equation, the one that appointed the special counsel? Because we now know the dossier, the phony Clinton bought and paid for dossier, that was used for the...
As more details develop, as we have more details concerning all this releasing of the memo, we'll keep you informed.